Welcome to The Educator. My name is Martin Buta. Please enjoy this presentation. In this presentation, we are taking a look at some of the major themes in William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. The idea or theme of the feud is introduced in the third line of the prologue, from ancient grudge break to new mutiny. In this line, we are warned that there will be more fighting, new mutiny, and that the feud will be ended only when the lovers die. We are never told the course of the feud, but in scene 1, almost everyone joins in the fighting. The prince's threat of death is certainly not taken seriously by Tybalt. He wants to fight with Romeo when he sees through Romeo's disguise at the party. We realize at the end of Act 1 that Tybalt poses a threat to the peace and to Romeo. Benvolio, on the other hand, constantly tried to keep the peace. Hate, violence, and disorder are all associated with the feud. Fate or fortune is also referred to in the prologue. The lovers are star-crossed. Fate suggests that we are not in control of our lives. Romeo talks of feeling a sense of doom before he goes to the Capulets' party. He sees some fearful warning hanging in the stars, and there is nothing he can do about it. Fate is contrasted to choice and free will. Juliet seems to be given a choice when her mother asks her to consider Paris's proposal of marriage. Later, her father will give her no choice in the matter. The theme of love is obviously central to this play. It is opposed to hate, associated with the feud in the play. Think about the different types of love shown in the play. We are shown love associated with sexual gratification, love between friends, love in a family, the courtly love that Romeo felt for Rosaline, and true love between Romeo and Juliet. It's interesting that when Romeo sees Juliet, he is immediately thrilled by her beauty. When Romeo and Juliet speak to each other, their words are written in the form of a sonnet, a traditional love poem. Their language suggests the depth and sincerity of their feelings. Later, love becomes connected or linked to violence, and even later, to death. The theme of marriage is introduced in scene 2, when Capulet and Paris are discussing Paris's marriage proposal. Capulet tells Paris he will give him permission to marry Juliet if she consents to it. He does, though, think his daughter is very young. Later, Lady Capulet encourages Juliet more. She is clearly keen on this good match with Paris. She tells Juliet that she is old enough to marry, since she was much Juliet's age when Juliet was born. The theme of authority relates to authority shown by the parents as well as the authority of the prince in the opening scene. Capulet comes across as a reasonable man who does not abuse his authority. He does not simply agree to Paris's proposal, but suggests that Paris must woo Juliet and get her heart. He says he will not impose his will on his daughter. Later, though, he changes his mind when he forces her to marry Paris or be disowned. At the party, he uses his authority over Tybalt by insisting that his nephew does not interfere with Romeo. The prince, on the other hand, uses his authority to keep order in the city. He warns that there will be consequences if there is further fighting in Verona. Another important theme is the theme of appearance versus reality. It is a theme often used in Shakespeare's plays. This is when the appearance of something does not reflect or show the reality or truth. So, for example, Romeo tells Benvolio that he is not his real self. In other words, although from the outside he appears to be the same Romeo, inwardly he has changed since he fell in love with Rosaline. The masks that Romeo and his friends wear to disguise themselves at the party also reflect this theme. Tybalt sees through this disguise. Despite his disguise, Romeo reveals his true feelings to Juliet. Oppositions and contrasts abound in Romeo and Juliet. You could think of them as themes of the play. The action begins with a violent clash between the feuding families, and throughout the play, divisions and conflicts beset the doomed lovers. We can take a look at the following examples: light versus dark, fate versus free will, love versus hate, death versus life, appearance versus reality, public versus private, past versus present, youth versus age, fast versus slow, and dream time versus real time. Lastly, death is obviously an important theme in the play. The setting of the final scene in the churchyard and in the tomb emphasizes the tragic deaths. Paris, Romeo, and Juliet all die on stage. We also hear that Lady Montague has died from grief. Thank you for watching The Educator. My name is Martin Buerta. Please remember to subscribe on YouTube for more presentations.